Welcome to Voicing Lived Experiences, a podcast from the RSE project. Today, we're diving deep into a critical issue often invisible to the wider public: the significant and multifaceted additional costs faced by disabled individuals in Scotland. These aren't just minor inconveniences, they are substantial financial burdens that impact every facet of life. To shed light on this, we'll be drawing from powerful insights shared by Sarah and Laura. When we think about the cost of living, we often consider common expenses. But for disabled people, there's an entirely different layer of costs, a hidden tide that constantly threatens to pull them under. Sarah highlighted just how pervasive these costs are.
Disabled people face huge costs covering everything from energy to transport to food, childcare, social care. Pretty much every aspect of life that can be more expensive for disabled people is expensive for disabled people. For example, if you are somebody who uses a wheelchair and public transport is not accessible or is difficult because you live in a rural area, that means that you're more likely to have to use a taxi service to get to GP appointments, which can be incredibly expensive.
And it's not just about physical disabilities or obvious expenses. The challenges are diverse.
Even if you are neurodivergent, you might really need to eat certain specific foods, and those foods might be branded, and you can't just substitute them for something else because of the ways that those textures and tastes. You can't eat them. Energy is the big one at the minute. Charging things, trying to keep on a CPAP machine on or some other breathing apparatus that costs money. And that is money that you don't really get covered.
Laura further emphasised how these costs aren't static. They fluctuate and are deeply personal, making them incredibly difficult to quantify or budget for.
Even on an individual level, costs can be extremely fluctuating. One day, I might be able to use a bus, but how much extra energy does that cost in that week to use that bus? And then maybe one day I actually need a taxi, and that costs extra. So, the costs are hard to quantify, even on an individual level.
So, what about the support systems in place? Are they enough to bridge this financial gap? Sarah explained that often they fall short.
Even adult disability payment is supposed to kind of even out a little bit, and it just doesn't do that for a lot of disabled people. It seems that the current benefit system, it's not adequately covering all those hidden costs. It's just meeting the bare minimum threshold, perhaps.
Laura echoed this feeling, pointing out the clear gap between just getting by and truly living a fulfilling life.
The reality for a lot of disabled people is, yes, you'll be helped with your cost to live an adequate life, as in you can sustain yourself. But are you allowed to live a good life? That's even more difficult.
These are not abstract figures. They represent daily struggles, choices between essentials, and the constant pressure of making ends meet. The current benefit levels often only allow for survival, not for thriving or participating fully in life. The cost of living crisis takes on an even more severe dimension when viewed through this lens. The financial burdens are clearly immense, but the challenges don't stop there. Join us next time as we explore the systemic barriers, the emotional toll, and the fight for true inclusion and a good life for disabled people in Scotland.